15 Minutes of Heat is sponsored by Kendall Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, home of the $8,000 trade, Kendall Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.com. I guess I wanted to read you a couple things from Ask Ira, but I guess I can ask you, Solana, you being around the team all season long, can you give a letter grade to the season? Because I don't know what you do with it, because obviously everything was dependent on Jimmy Butler being out there for the postseason. He wasn't. So I don't know. Do you grade that against them because he wasn't available? That doesn't seem fair. So is it an incomplete? I don't know what to do with this season, to be quite honest.
Weird. It's weird. Also because you were hoping you wouldn't be in the playing tournament again this year, and you were. And whatever the case is, right? Like Tyler's injury at the beginning of the season, he missed 40 games. The injury at the beginning of the season where he rolls his ankle, he has to miss 18 straight. I mean, that's not Tyler Herro being fragile, that specific injury. Like, he just stepped on a player's ankle.
It's a sports injury. That happens all the time.
Right. So, I don't know, like a C-, right? I mean, you at the end of the day, you lost in the first round. You were the 8th seed.
Well, but you're taking all the context out of it then, right? We're going, okay, but I'm with you. It's results driven. So you go from being in the NBA Finals to not getting out of the first round of the playoffs. It's certainly, a disappointing season.
Even if you put context into it, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to go down that road and say, hey, at the end of the day, had Jimmy Butler been healthy, had he not blew up his meniscus in the first quarter against the Sixers, and you win that game, right? Let's just say, and you're the 7th seed. I mean, what do you do? What are you? A C+? You're still back in the playing tournament, which you didn't want to be in. I mean, I don't see a path unless they had gone back to the NBA Finals or at least won the first 2 rounds, how it could be better than last season.
No context, C+, context, B-.
Right.
That's kind of where we're sitting. But even that, Bam, Jimmy, Tyler, Terry being your top 4, is that enough with what Boston did? Is that enough with what the Knicks did? Is that enough with what Philly did? Like, I don't know.
It's not. I mean, that's the reality of it. But it wasn't last year either, and they overcame all that. So that's the only caveat that I would give it. It was like, okay, on paper, probably not, but Jimmy Butler in the postseason, all bets are off.
That concept of that this team has to play a perfect game to win. I don't like that. I don't like being that team that has to play perfect to win. Let's just go and win. Like Milwaukee and Boston, even Minnesota. Like, I got a betting on them. Like Minnesota, I think if Ant goes down for a couple games, if Cat goes down for a couple games, they can still win games. That's my thing. I hate when they always say, well, the Heat have to play a perfect game defensively, drag them in the mud. How about we can win multiple styles? And we've done it in the past, but this year I don't think we were capable of doing it. So that's why I'd have to say C+, B-.
Yeah, but then, the injuries come into play. If you don't have your players out there, Crowder, how else are you going to do it? And also this notion of Rozier, Herro, Butler, and Bam not being good enough. I mean, we don't have any sort of evidence to say that it was or it wasn't. Those guys didn't play together at all. I think there was 3 games this season, where they were all healthy. I mean, there's literally no evidence, which is what makes Pat Riley's job so tough.
That's why he was so angry yesterday,
right.
If you think he was angry. But he's sitting there at the end of the season because he's got to do the postmortem. He's got to come up with the grades. He's got to figure out what could potentially work and what won't work. And he's sitting there going, no one was out there.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's luck, maybe it's unlucky, maybe, there's a myriad of answers you can give it. But that's why at the end of the season, he doesn't have many answers. But he doesn't want to go through that again next season. Like, maybe I get bounced in the first round, but I have definitive answers then because I saw the guys play together during the regular season. I saw them play together in the postseason. Don't get me to the postseason next year and then maybe try to figure it out for 5 games, 6 games, 7 games. Like, That's not going to cut it, which is kind of what I think he was saying yesterday.
And I joked it with the decisions. It should be Bam and them because Jimmy's what, 34?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's not playing more games at 35 than he was at 34, at 36. And Jimmy can play ball. Tyler, he missed last postseason when he broke his hand, right?
Yeah.
What could they have done if Tyler was there last postseason? You can't go as Pat Riley year after year after year saying, what if Tyler was healthy? What if Jimmy was healthy? What if Terry was healthy? What if this? How about you go find some guys that are healthy? And the most damning one, the thing about Jimmy being quiet in the media like that, I think it'll upset Jimmy. The most damning one was him calling Tyler fragile, which if you look back at his career, he's kind of fragile.
Yeah, there's definitely concern there with Tyler Herro, even beyond last season. Like he's been in and out because he can't stay healthy for a full length of a season, which is also why I think Pat Riley tried to walk his comments back a little bit after that, where he's like, well, he's a starter. And then he kind of poo-pooed what Haslam said on ESPN following the Heat being bounced versus Boston, where Haslam basically called him a six-man. And Pat was like, no. Everything Haslam said was absolutely wrong. Because I think even he realized, like, athletes don't want to be called fragile. And hey, if there's a chance that we want to move Tyler, probably not the best look to be calling him fragile in my end of season, and a six-man in my end of season presser.
Hello. Yes. Curious what you'd be willing to give in return for a fragile, overpaid sixth man. Hello.
But
hello.
There's an award for it. There's an award for
listen,
the
I don't
man.
think there's any shame in being six man. I've said it a million times. It's who's out there at the end of the game. I mean, you can be the six man and still be the most valuable cog out there. But I don't think like the real question on him is going to be availability. Like, can you count on him to be there for a regular season and a postseason?
But I also think there's a legitimate question here, which is he good enough to be your third best player? Because I don't think it's fair to just label Tyler as a sixth man. I think with the Miami Heat and with the players the Heat had over the last two seasons, the argument is there because for this specific scenario, with the way the team is set up, he's best suited coming off the bench and leading that second unit. You're going to tell me that there's that many starters around the NBA who are better than Tyler Herro? No. Like, he could start in this league, and he could put up points as a starter in this league. But as the team is constructed right now, is he best suited coming off the bench? Probably. Is he good enough to be your third best player? They call them a trio. Pat Riley spoke, like they've referred to them as the trio. Is this core of Tyler, Jimmy, and Bam good enough to go compete for a title? We're kind of sitting in the same place, asking the same questions now for the third straight season, and I think that's a problem.
Speaking of Tyler being the three, like what is Tyler's ceiling? And it's his own Pat Riley question. I don't know what, but like, could Tyler be? It's funny we brought up Klay Thompson earlier, and I thought about it. Could Tyler be that good? Could Tyler be Klay? Our big three. Could Tyler be Bosh?
Problem is, if you're using recency bias, which you can't help, you're thinking of Game 5 against Boston when Tyler had all the opportunity in the world to make you go, that is a guy you don't want to give up, and he didn't do that.
Let's go in the. Can he be Chris Middleton? Because it's if everybody's healthy, right? It's Giannis, Dame, and then Chris Middleton. Is Tyler Chris Middleton?
Well, the problem is I don't think anyone's equivalent to Giannis.
Now you're getting to the good point. Is our roster good enough to compete with?
Well,
Jason
on paper,
Tatum,
it's not.
Jaylen
I can tell you definitively on paper it's not, but that didn't matter last year. So that's why I say like you have to give it a Jimmy Butler caveat.
That's why Pat's a genius for putting together these rosters that are beating the Milwaukees and beating the Bostons. But when you want to ask, is he a three? I'll look at the other threes that I've seen through life, and I'll look at the other threes that are just in the East, and I question if he could be a Chris Middleton or if he can be, a number three on a top team.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare him to Chris Middleton. Like, Chris Middleton when the Bucks won that title in 2021. I mean, he was a legitimate 2 on a title team. We don't have to ask questions like he was. He was a guy hitting big shots late for that Bucks team.
Wasn't that Tyler in 2020?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of
you're
evidence.
picking one season for Chris Middleton, but you could do that with Tyler as well.
Yeah, I mean, he had one game where he scored 36 in the bubble against the Boston Celtics as a rookie and played his ass off. Then he won the 6-man award. I know a lot of Heat fans, because I'm seeing it right now on the text line where they're saying, hey, Tyler Herro got locked down in this series. But again, I mean, he had to be the Heat's 1 or 2 in this series because you didn't have Jimmy Butler, you didn't have Terry Rozier. And I think we can all agree, we can come away from this series saying, okay, there's definitely a ceiling on what Tyler can be right now, which is clearly not a 1 or not a 2. The question is, can he be a 3? Can he be a 4? Can he be your 3rd, 4th best player in a title team? I would still say yes. But I don't know if you're Pat Riley, if you can sell that to the fan base again next season, which is we're running it back with these 3 guys again. Like, I don't know if you can.
Tyler Herro's won the 6-man of the year award, right?
Yeah.
He's never been an all-pro, an all-star. I'm going off what he's done, not what his potential is.
And Solana, I think, brings up the best point, which is it doesn't mean that he can't start in the league because he could start on so many teams.
Yes.
Like, he's that good. It's just what is he best suited for on the Heat, which is, by the way, I'm pretty sure what Udonis Haslem was saying on ESPN.
Correct.
He wasn't giving an indictment on Tyler Herro's ability to be a starter in the NBA. I think he was saying specifically for this Heat team, he probably would have been better suited coming off the bench.
He's also 24 years old. And I think we do this a lot with players where, like, they have a bad season or they have a bad series and there's context to it. And we're all like, oh, we know what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And, 3-4 years from now, like Tyler
He wrote off Minnesota last year.
Right.
I mean, wrote them off. That's the worst trade ever, and this team is going nowhere. They're an 8 seed at the best. I mean, we wrote them off.
Devil's advocate, because I do think Tyler's a very good player. He's been in the league since 2019. It's 2024. How much better is he going to get? He's been in the league for he's been in the league for a while. He got here young, to your point, Solana, but how is he going to be?
Devil's advocate. Isn't that an Al Pacino movie?
It is. It's a great one. But Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford, I wrote their names down. We started talking about 6 men. I think that Tyler can be that level. Lou Young, Jamal Crawford, like he can score, but they were 6 men in the year. Jamal Crawford was 3 times 6 man of the year because it was something in his game that just wasn't there to be a top 3 player.
Lou Williams, sorry. Lou Young's a comedian.
Hoo-ah. Lou Williams
hard to believe
is Lemon Pepper Lou.
Tell you what, just looking at the text line from what we were talking about in the last segment, 15 minutes of Heat, Tyler Herro is a divisive topic amongst Heat fans.
It is.
He is a divisive personality.
You don't know what he is.
Right. Yeah, you don't. And that's why it's up to Pat Riley and
100%.
The rest of the company to figure it out, because you feel like he does have the upside of being a multiple year all-star. You feel like it.
Yeah.
And then you also see what happened in game 5 against Boston. You go, or maybe not.
What if you put him with Nikola Jokic?
Well, that's the thing. What if you put him with an absolute A-list star, Solana? Absolute A-list.
No, I don't think he can be a 1 or a 2. I don't think he'll ever
get to that. But if you put him with, like, is he an all-star? If he's out there for 70 games a season? No?
I don't think so. Doesn't mean he's not a really good player. Doesn't mean he's not a really good scorer.
We do the white-on-white comparison. Is he a Jason Williams type that shows you some flashes every now and then? But
I think they're 2 very different players. Like, I think he can be like a great complementary scorer. He could lead this team in scoring if he was healthy. But I don't think anybody would agree that, I don't think anybody would say he's the best player on the team, which was the idea, by the way. Like, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo will do all the dirty work. They'll get to the free throw line.
Man,
They'll
he can
get to the
create when
rim.
he's hitting. He can create.
If it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Tyler Herro. Like I love it. If it's Porzingis, if he went to Boston over Porzingis, what would he be?
It's Derek White. I'm not saying he's Derek White, but that's the idea. Like, Derek White isn't going to drop 38 points every game, but you put him next to two bona fide superstars, and then another guy in Kristaps Porzingis who's clearly an all-star, and then Drew Holiday, who's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate every single year, and he doesn't have the responsibility of carrying the team, but any given day he can go out and give you 30 points because he's a lucrative scorer. Like that, that's what he can be. You know, he can start on a title contending team, but can he be your go-to player? No.
Now I'm going through the East. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and instead of Tobias Harris, it's Tyler Herro. Are they winning?
Are they
the
still a
championship?
first round exit?
You know, like,
and the answer is yes.
So if he's a Tobias Harris, if he's a little below Chris Middleton, if he's that guy, and I bring up Lou and Jamal, like, if he's that guy, let's treat him like that guy.
But in order for him to be that guy that you're talking about, he has to be on the court with the other two guys. He has to be on the court with Jimmy and Bam. And this season, right, I think when Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler all played together, I think the numbers, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were 14 and 13 overall. And like, even then, I mean, one, that's not a great record with your three best players on the floor. And two, that's not nearly enough games to be able to say, yes, if it's healthy, right, this will get you to where you want to be. Like, you have no idea. And then you add in Terry Rozier, who
an unfulfilling season.
Yeah.
We have concluded an unfulfilling season because there's still too many questions.
For sure.
And Pat called Tyler fragile, and he questioned Jimmy playing in enough games.
But I think because of those two things, the biggest thing Pat Riley said yesterday kind of got put on the back burner a little bit, which was the Heat don't need major changes. And to me, that was the biggest takeaway from yesterday's press conference, because, like, forget him calling out Jimmy Butler, forget, saying that guys need to be available. Like, those are the obvious things. You need Jimmy Butler out there. You need Tyler Herro available. Like, those are the obvious things. He's clearly just fed up with these guys. Are the Heat going to look the same next year? Without Caleb Martin, potentially without Haywood Highsmith. Like, who are they drafting? How's he going to look? Can the Heat hit on 3 straight first-round picks? It's not likely. I'm not saying they can't, but, it's kind of just a crapshoot with that type of stuff. Like,
would Tyler Herro be any good with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman?
6 man.